I like taking those in the dark. Now it's very early in the morning. It's before sunrise, and since the time change, it's even uh, more difficult to adjust to the 24 cycle. And in addition to my insomnia, which I've had for quite some time, and it's been aggravated since the pandemic. One of my relatives is sick from the disease and got into the hospital. I'm worried. And in addition to trying to figure out what life is going to bring moving forward, in terms of not just a personal perspective for someone who is going to be booted off of work due to mandates, but also what is going to happen with humanity, what is going to happen with the planet moving forward. How are we going to be able to heal from all of this which has been hammered upon us at this time? It's just for a human, it has been really difficult, especially for someone who's gotten awake through the process. And so far in the past, people would have one major negative event in a certain length of period, and then they would have time to recover from this negative event, usually in their personal space. But now we're going through an event after an event after an event, and it's not just personal, it's also global. So everybody is affected by what's happening around us and within us. And it's almost like we don't even have time to recover. We're galloping through events after events after events. And how are we going to heal at the end of the day when, and I'm really hoping this will be over at some point. But the question is the healing process and the recovery process and the intensity of this situation which we are at the moment. The recover and the heal. This is what I'm thinking of now. In addition to, I know many like me are waiting for something to happen on a global scale, which will shift the winds and it will clear the path for us to move forward. Because we've been in this state where it's almost like we're hanging. We're hanging in the time-space continuum without understanding where we're going or what's going to happen. What's going to happen tomorrow, or what's going to happen in the next few weeks, what's going to happen in the next few months. There is no point of making any plans. Everything is so random. There is no point of dreaming, making goals. I was listening to somebody who was saying, make your New Year's goals. How are you making your New Year's goals? I mean, you can set some personal goals, for example, to lose weight. That's a goal. But other than that, I don't see how people can make any substantial goals given the times we live in and all of the dependencies, the crashing, the uncertainties. But also, one thing I know for certain, that life will never be the same as it was prior to 2019. This is not coming back. So we're moving forward in some shape and form, which I don't think anyone has a clear picture how this is going to evolve moving forward. And again, not just on a personal level, but also like on a global level for humanity and the planet. What is going to happen? And this uncertainty creates a lot of stress, creates a lot of tension. It's truly intense. And if someone pretends for this situation to be normal, actually either doesn't understand the situation, or this person is not normal himself or herself. And it's not just in this country, it's in every single country in the world. Even if you want to escape someplace, there is no place to escape. It's the whole planet. Unless maybe if you owned a private island and a boat and you just go and live there for a while. That may be an escape. Or I was listening to this lady who was showing pictures of how the super rich, they have underground, lush, luxurious accommodations which they can live in for as long as they like. And these accommodations surpass any on top of the ground 6 or 10-star hotel, any way you look at it. And they're also connected through rails, trains, fast speed trains and rails, connected by submarines, by airplanes, and technology used which has been very successfully hidden from humans who live on the top of the surface of the planet, not in underground tunnels. She was showing that the underground rails are capable of taking you from one point of the earth to the other end of the earth, almost like for minutes or even seconds, using technologies which are off of this planet. These technologies they've been given by extraterrestrials, and they've been utilized for centuries by the super rich. And now there is this talk about med beds and medical technology which is under development. They've already have this technology. It's been developed and they've been using it. So they have the transportation, they have the medical technology, they've got the electricity, energy, everything has been built and it does exist, and it's being given from off-worlders, which has been mingling with us for quite some time. So when you think of it, that even makes you the unfairness of the whole situation stirs emotions which are not the most positive emotions. But we, as humans, we have to endure all the pain, all the suffer which we're going through as of now, being killed by pathogens, being attacked on the financial side, out of jobs, being stressed to the end of our capabilities of existing in this situation. And maybe the ones who don't fully understand the situation, they're the lucky ones. They're just thinking one day all of this will be over and we're gonna go back to visiting our grandparents for Christmas and be free and all of this, possibly. But it will not be, we will be visiting, but the world will never be the same. And how this is going to play out and what is coming, I don't think anyone precisely knows. It's just been a series of events which are happening and most likely will be happening. And for us, again, pretty much we've been kept in the dark for any events, and we have to use extreme discernment about the information which we receive, not only on MSM, the mainstream media, but also on the back channels, which many of us use for research. It's almost like the intuition has to kick in to be able to distinguish between truth and false. And in many instances, the trickiest is when there is some truth mixed within the false, and then the whole thing is even more difficult to extract because it's a mixture of both. And in many instances, that may be the reality very well. So it may not be black and white, and may not be just mixture of two things. It may be a mixture of many different truths and falses. But still, the intuition, which no one ever teaches us how to use our intuition, or any other skills which we've completely forgotten about, our imagination, the portal in our brain, which is the pineal gland, which activates through meditation, and the connection to us being us, but at higher dimensional levels. Many of us, we have galactic families, which we've separated from just to be here, boots on the ground. So none of this information is wildly available, although now it's more available than ever. But it's been covered up, it's been hidden. Humanity has endured prolonged suffering for it's been too much and too long. So now, at the precipice of a new day, which by the way is coming up behind me as well, I'm probably like 8 miles away from the Atlantic Ocean, and this is this side of the house is east. So when I look at the clouds this early in the morning, it's I can smell the ocean where it is. In any event, so this is what I'm contemplating about, not only on a personal level, but also on a more global level. And even if we have this event after event after event, and then the tables turn, things shift around, the ones who are not awake, they'll have a slap on the face. They'll be shocked. Many of them will not accept the truth, although the truth most likely will be presented in their faces in some way, media-wise, and it will be projected and presented, and they may not have, I'm talking about healing and recovering, but at least for the awake ones, at least we have an idea, so we can somewhat, although when that event happens, no one knows how people are going to react, but at least us being subconsciously prepared will give us a little bit of an advantage to deal with the real situation. The subconscious preparedness is very important, and I think the negative side, they've been using our subconscious abilities for their own manipulation and goals. Hopefully, when everything turns around, I think the younger ones, the younger generation will be able to accept it. I'm worried about the older generation and the people who all of a sudden will realize their lives were a complete lie, and nothing which they thought they've achieved actually really matters. I think they will have most trouble, because we would have to rebuild. We would have to start from scratch. But also, I think the two systems will coexist in quite some time, because we will need the old one for, my intuition tells me, after the events, the crashing of all of the events happen, We'll probably need at least 2 more years for the old systems to exist the way they are today, so we can commingle our own survival moving forward before we implement anything new. Hopefully we'll be able to implement the new things quick. I think humans are extremely creative, and if they're empowered by resources and they feel free to do their best, I think we can do great things collectively speaking. So this is on the bright side of this conversation. But I'm sure many of you share my frustration, anger, impatience, uncertainty, so on and so forth, where we've been for quite some time now. And also misinformation. And it's an attack on all levels. There is an emotional exhaustion, there is physical exhaustion, there is mental exhaustion, trying to figure things out which don't make any sense, and of course the spiritual fight, which is on the background of all of this. But here we are. And I think, unfortunately, many humans will die. They will die either from the disease or from the cure. And that may be depending on whatever soul contracts they signed or whatever circumstances happened here. But this will make things even more difficult for families to move forward. They would have to deal with that as well. And they've been dealing with this for the last couple of years too. So definitely difficult times, and not really a known prospectus moving forward. On the bright side, however, if we are enabled, empowered, and allowed our creativity to move forward as a conscious development and evolutionary development, we may be able to recover quicker than we think. And at the same time, we would have to catch up on our spiritual component, which relates to us as well to our intuition, to our spiritual skills, which been completely forgotten and suppressed. And also at the same time, surely there will be artificial intelligence around us, pure artificial intelligence. There will be mixes of humans and AI, as well as just humans who, through the ascension process, may have enhanced their physical structures to a level where they may be able to outperform AI through consciousness. So, interesting times, that is for sure. Today being November 10th, 2021, 6 o'clock in the morning.